Well, early on, maybe through your R&D stages and stuff for sure. But when you get, if let's say I placed 1,000, order of 1,000, that will take you some time.
You hit the nail on the head. When I launched February, I had about 500 on hand, and I was expecting, okay, people will buy like 300 at launch, and then I'll have this time to make the bars throughout the week. So I'll just put the store at 1,000 bars, and we'll start it there. But people will buy like 300, so I'll have time to make the bars myself and go through. I launched and I sold through 1,000 in like 36 hours.
Wow!
What?
So I've been sold out for over a month.
How did you start at your launch? Like, what did you do? Like, how did you push it?
So, so I'd like to ask you a little bit about track and fields. There was a woman earlier today, actually the front desk lady. I showed them a picture of y'all so that they could direct you. Did she?
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
good.
She didn't say anything. Yeah, she knew who we were. Like,
okay.
We were going to come up here, but
good. Yeah, I showed her the picture of you on your Instagram that you were in your track and field outfit, and she was like, "Is this guy a Samford track and field guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And she was like, "I met this guy who said he was like #1 in the state or the country." Was that you she was talking about?
It was probably my old roommate, because he used to shoot podcasts here, Justin.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely him who I'm probably talking about. Yeah. So
okay.
he's a 3-time All-American while he was at Samford. He goes to Auburn now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we were roommates. We're probably, it was definitely him.
That's hilarious.
The person it could be.
That's hilarious. So what do you do in track and field?
Yeah, so my event is the short hurdles, so 110 hurdles. That's what I got recruited for. I also do a little bit of long jump, 4x1 on the relay team. But my craft is the hurdles. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm best at, and that's what I've excelled at the most while I've been at Samford.
Nice. So I imagine there's a lot of translatable kind of aspects that lead to your success in that also lead to your success in business.
Definitely.
What are some of those?
Definitely. I would say just the track has really taught me how to be thankful for what I've done, the work I've put in, but not complacent with what I've done. So hurdles is an extremely technical event. So you can be really athletic, you can be really fast, but if you don't know how to get over the hurdle as efficient as possible, you're going to fall. Your time's not going to be as good as it could have been, excuse me. So I find that a lot of times in life, you can have talent and you can do different things and be good at different things, but unless you really hone in on the small things and the small details in what you want to do in life, that'll keep you from getting to the next step of where your life could be.
Mm-hmm. Discipline as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a whole different. Like, you have to wake up every day. There's things that people aren't willing to sacrifice on the track that I have, and it's gotten me different accolades and different opportunities. And I find myself having the same type of battles on the business side and real life side, whether it's waking up early to send emails or waking up early to do research on my business and my industry and things like that, so I can get the upper hand on anyone else who's in a similar playing space as me. So I find that a lot of times it's directly translatable to what I've learned on the track over the years.
That's awesome.
That's
Well,
cool.
This business is super interesting. We're excited to jump into it.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. What's up, guys? This is the What's Next Birmingham podcast, and we are sitting today with Titus Moore. And Titus is a track star, but also a business guy. He started Moore's Granola, and he has been building that. You're now in your MBA program, right?
Yes, second year MBA.
Yeah.
Cool.
So talk a little bit about how Moore's Granola started.
Yeah.
We can go from there.
So there's a couple different parts to why I found that Moore's Granola would be a good opportunity for me. I think it's best to start back at my background as like a brand management type of marketing person. And that goes back to quarantine 2020, excuse me, summer 2020. Me and a couple of friends of mine were on social media like most people were during quarantine months, and we we're just messing around, just having fun, posting different things on TikTok in particular, just having fun doing skits and doing different trends. And we found ourselves having a lot of success. We were able to grow our following from 0 to 1.3 million followers in the span of a couple of months. That was kind of the first time I was exposed to like the influencer world and what it means to be an influencer marketer. And I was also able to see firsthand how the big corporations in the world integrate themselves through social media and the changing marketing world. So I was able to work with brands like Racetrack, the gas station, the Atlanta Braves, Chubbies, Overtime Sports. So it was really cool to see how much fun you could have as an influencer, but also I personally took an interest in learning the background of the business side of it and how they used influencer marketing to grow their brand. So I didn't finish the story of how I started Moore's, but I just started the company itself. I launched in February, and I started the idea for it last February. So about a year from the conception of the idea of what the product would be up to the actual launch was about a year. So I was already in grad school at that point. Undergrad, I was mainly focused on sports and straight. I was a jock.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Partying, going to practice and whatnot. Yeah, I was not an athlete in college, but I've definitely done a lot of athletics, and I know Dylan has as well. And that's a big piece of time. But I feel like the coaches that I've had, at least, they've instilled a form of discipline and a form of like success that I'm trying to achieve. And I think that is kind of what has propelled me at like the baseline of just wanting to, be a winner. And I feel like that's probably for you, if like you wake up every day and you're like, I want to be a winner, whether that's in track, in life, in business. And I think all those kind of go hand in hand, like you were saying earlier, which is just super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. To that point, I feel with this business, I get a sense of appreciation for the work that I put in the same way I felt for track. So with track, I felt a passion for just waking up every day and knowing that the work I put in, the results are gonna show.
Yeah.
I find that same way with the business as well. Like what I'm reaping, I'm sowing. What I'm sowing, I'll be able to reap the benefits later on.
Yeah. You're seeing it. You're putting an input and you're seeing an output. And I'm the same way. What you were talking about earlier with the you don't want to be stagnant or complacent. And I feel like definitely those are the things that, because a lot of things it takes time to see the output, and that's the biggest thing for me. Is I know that if I just keep chipping away, I'll eventually see the whole picture. It just is like, when will that happen? Who knows? But we're getting there.
Yeah.
We had a conversation with Mallory, and in that conversation, one thing that came up was there's working in the business and then there's working on the business. And a lot of people, what we said in that conversation was that you have to love it, and that's part of what goes into this as well. Is there's the idea and following those like things that are instilled from your sports and from your family probably and all of that, and using that to your benefit in the business. So the granola bar market is huge. Like we've got so many different companies that are out there doing cool stuff. Why did you choose that market in specific?
Yeah, that's super interesting.
And I feel like that's a good way to kind of close why I started the company. So after I got my better understanding that I loved marketing and influencer marketing and loved the CPG realm or industry, I started to kind of find opportunity within different products that were being seen. So following my internship at Coca-Cola, I had another internship this past summer at Danone North America. So if you're familiar with Evian water, Silk almond milk, Danimals yogurt, that's the parent company that owns those brands. And it was there that I was able to see marketing from a different side. So when you think of Danimals yogurt, there are nutritional benefits behind the actual product, but the marketing behind it is catered towards children or the parents of the children, I should say. So when you see a need for your child to have a nutritional snack that they enjoy, and you have a marketing of the characters and the Zach and Cody sweepstakes, if you guys remember, and something that they can connect with, it finds it finds that the product is drawing in that younger audience. So it kind of took me back to a problem that I had as an athlete. I found myself looking for products that were relatively nutritional, that matched my diet as an athlete, but I was looking for something that really catered to my needs and something that I felt an athlete would eat. So after looking and trying to find something that was relatively healthier instead of the chemical filled snacks that I would eat, like honey buns or cosmic brownies and things like that, I couldn't really find anything in the marketplace. So I started to look online and found myself finding a recipe for a granola bar that I used and tried a couple of times. And I saw an opportunity within that. So I took the summer at Danone when I was learning about those different marketing or brand management types of characteristics for brands. And I took the original recipe that I had and tried to cater it in a way that athletes would appreciate. So the same way Danimals found a brand niche with children with their yogurt, I wanted to find that athletes could have something to relate to through a snack, being granola bars. So I spent the whole summer taking the original ingredient list from 18 down to 6 ingredients, almost burned down the apartment a couple of times in Denver. A lot of trial and error, bad tasting granola, but I found a recipe that really fit. And at that point, I knew that even though the granola bar industry is huge, I think that my approach as an athlete and my background as an athlete and those connections I could leverage within the athletic world, I feel I have an advantage in that industry. So that's kind of why I'm going all in on the approach of something that people can have with an active lifestyle, as well as my knowledge of influencer marketing and past experience with it, as well as my knowledge of the CPG world and how to navigate that, whether it's through retailers or different accounts that I've learned from through my internship experiences.
Very cool.
For real.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of covers vision as well, like your vision for the company. So mainly focused on making an impact through your marketing as well as your product and gearing that towards athletes. I love that. I think there's so much that many businesses don't take as big of initiatives. They don't have, I don't want to say they necessarily don't have big enough goals, but it's like some businesses, they're not making that big of an impact. And something like this, I think, really can, because it's something that can change that market. How do you think you would be able to do that?
I think one thing I've learned with some of these huge brands that I've worked with or worked for in the past is that there's a lot of steps to getting a campaign or a marketing opportunity or idea from conception to the actual market. There's a lot of people and chain of commands you got to go through to get an idea to the actual consumer. So I find that a lot of times, by the time the idea or trend is happening, by the time it's in the consumer's face, the trend's gone. It's not really appreciated. You can see a lot of times with people using TikTok sounds at these huge companies, the sounds have been on the platform for like 8 months, and like you're trying to capitalize on a trending sound from 8 months ago. It doesn't really work. So my approach for my company was to follow trends, have quick turnarounds for trends, and find opportunities that I could capitalize and get exposure for my product. Because I have that advantage over the big companies. There's no red tape from my idea to the upper levels of the company, because I'm the idea guy and I'm the CEO, so I can make this choice if I want to. So I think taking advantage of that early on is what I enjoy to do first off. So I love doing things like that. But I think it will be an advantage of mine down the road.
Definitely.
Very cool. I think that like what you said about finding like your niche in the market and going back to kind of what Dylan said, that's like a huge thing. And I think if you can hop on those trends that a lot of the athletes are kind of following, then that is like your perfect market right there. And you could even expand out to, like people that maybe aren't athletes, but they are active. Exactly. People that are on the
everyday
go,
consumers.
People that are hiking, biking, running, like, because you gave us a little sample before we hopped on here.
It's so good. Seriously.
And it's like you put it in your pocket, because I've recently had other granola bars in the past, and they're decent sized, and I mean it's gonna be like you're gonna have this sitting in your pocket, getting mushy, melting for a while. But if you can get that little boost of energy that quick, as a biker myself, that would be like perfect for me.
Yeah.
And to your point, that is one of the part of the long-term vision. Another one of the things I've learned at my opportunities at working for these bigger brands is you need to find a community that you can show proof of concept with. So athletes, because I am an athlete and I have my circle is full of athletes and people who can vouch for me and try the product. I'm going to take that and run with it for the first couple of months as I continue to build data. So when I go to these retailers like the Target and the Whole Foods, I can say, hey, these athletes, this group of community of athletes, they're loving this product. They're buying it over and over again. But it's not just for athletes.
Yeah.
To your point, it's for people who have active lifestyles, anyone who just wants to have something really sweet, but not suffer from the chemicals and preservatives that are in what's currently in the market right now. So that's kind of my long-term play, just to kind of have something that people can feel a part of. Same way Nike has this unspoken like community of people who just love the product for the check that's on their piece of clothing or shoes. I want to have that sense of community for my brand down the road as well.
Absolutely. So speaking of community, let's talk a little bit about go back to the Incubator in Samford. So the business, were you in the Incubator when you started it, or was there some movement before?
Yeah, so I was in the Incubator. Oh, it's only been not even a year. I got in the Incubator in September.
Okay.
I've known Dr. Mazey. He heads the Samford Incubator, Samford Startup Incubator program. I've known him for a couple of years because I took him in undergrad as one of my capstone classes. So he's known who I was, but he didn't know that I had an entrepreneurial kind of background to me.
Yeah.
So I emailed him when I got back from Denver and Danone. That experience, I told him what I was thinking, and he welcomed me with open arms, and it's been an incredible experience. Just being able to talk to him, bounce ideas off of him and other incredible entrepreneurs in the cohort this year, just being able to leverage what they're doing in their companies and just kind of compare and contrast what's going on has been really valuable to my journey.
That's awesome.
That's been something that we've done a lot of, and we've tried to like put that forward as like one of our big focuses is each person can come up with a great idea, but when you put all those brains together, you get the brain multiplier effect where it's like, holy cow, we got there so much faster. Or you actually like, you build deep as well as wide, kind of.
There's a lot of little things you don't think about.
Like,
when laying the foundation.
How do you make a barcode? How
Yeah.
do you
Yeah,
find insurance?
The logos,
Right.
all these little things.
So much that's behind the scenes that people just don't really know, and you can't really appreciate it until you're in it and like really doing it firsthand. And I have a ton of respect for any other founders, any other startup program, or any other startup companies that are just in the space, because I spent hours and hours on something, but as soon as I got into a community of people who are like-minded and have done a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it really streamlined the entire process. So I can't stress enough how valuable that is to get incorporated into something like that.
So going back to like the thing that I mentioned earlier about working in the business versus working on the business, obviously the Incubator is all built around you working on the business. What have been like the main key like takeaways that you've had, or like the biggest things that you remember from being benefits from them?
I think just being able to get connections to people who have been where I've been. For example, like, I don't know if you guys know what a co-packer is. For those who don't know, a co-packer is someone who takes your recipe. If you started for me, for example, I have my recipe of my granola bars, and a co-packer is someone who takes your recipe and produces it at scale.
Yeah, because you couldn't be producing all those in your apartment or your house.
absolutely
You
not.
would, like, I thought I could. That's the horrible part.
Well, when
for-
you get
for
to
early
a certain,
on.
well, early on, maybe through your R&D stages and stuff for sure. But when you get, if let's say I placed 1,000 order of 1,000, that will take you some time.
You hit the nail on the head. When I launched February, I had about 500 on hand, and I was expecting, okay, people will buy like 300 at launch, and then I'll have this time to make the bars throughout the week. So I'll just put the store at 1,000 bars, and we'll start it there. But people will buy like 300, so I'll have time to make the bars myself and go through. I launched, and I sold through 1,000 in like 36 hours.
Wow.
What?
So I've been sold out for
That's
over
crazy.
a month.
How did you start at your launch? Like, what did you do? Like, how did you push it?
I had one video.
One video.
I had
Wow.
one video, and it goes back to the whole leveraging my background of being an athlete.
Right.
So I have a lot of athletic friends. I have a lot of people who are appreciative of like what I've done from an athletic perspective.
Yeah.
I have people and old coaches and old teachers who just want to support me because they know the work that I've put in on the track, and they know that the work I put in this business will be the same level, if not more. So they're just so supportive of me, and just people who are just curious of what the product is and want to try it out.
Awesome.
So I really underestimated that, and I will not do it again. But to your point, that's forced me to move into a co-packer. So I'm able to produce at scale. And for a while, I was working in the business, just fulfilling orders, just trying to catch up for what the orders that I've had. Because I'm like I said, I've been sold out for a month now, only accepting pre-orders. But in the coming weeks, I'll be able to revamp my inventory through this co-packer. I'll be able to produce thousands at a time. So I'll be able to get out of the business and being a baker and finally being able to do what I love, which is the marketing and the operations side of things.
Huge. And I know that you kind of have that background with that for your, like with school and your career. So did getting these internships, I guess, did Samford help you in any way get these, or did you kind of reach out and get these on your own?
That is
Great question.
a great question. Samford helped me prepare myself as a student to do well in the internships, but getting the internships themselves is basically on the student. They have opportunities they have people who designated to help you kind of navigate the space and figure out where to apply and things like that.
Right.
But before I got the Coca-Cola internship, my fiance's here. She witnessed this. I probably did nearly a couple hundred applications for different internship opportunities. And I got so many no's, unfortunately, we've decided to move forward with other candidates. If you know how many times that comes through, especially in today's job market. But by God's grace, I was able to get an opportunity at Coca-Cola. And I had 3 interview processes, Coca-Cola and 2 other companies that I don't really think it's important to mention, but I had 3 opportunities that I just knew I could not waste. So I did tons and tons of research on the company itself, different initiatives that they had, so that when I got my shot to interview with these companies, I stood out. So they understood the potential I could have for the company to be a great asset for them. So it was not easy. Samford definitely helped a little bit, but there's a lot of work that you have to do on your end as well to even stand out and get a chance to show that you're capable of doing the job.
And one thing that you're not able to show with internships is like that I don't know what the word is, but like stayability, you like your ability to stay in something and continue doing that.
Yeah.
But that's also, one of the qualifiers with getting, a degree in general.
Yeah.
It kind of proves that you have that drive and you're able to achieve that thing. But now, as y'all know, surely that is, baseline nowadays, you know, like that's really not like a degree isn't really going to make you stand out any more than the next person, you know.
Let me tell you, 2 degrees doesn't let you stand out.
Yeah, I mean, one more thing, we can, continue on talking about, your business and everything. What was there anything else when you were submitting these applications that you would do to make yourself stand out? Because there's so many. I'm hearing about it, and I'm currently dealing with it. That it's like, let's say there's an internship posted online or something. You can see 200 other applicants have posted. How can you make sure that they even see you. You know what I mean?
As far as first glance, I don't want to tell you wrong, so I'll probably just leave that as it is. But as in terms of like the actual what you have on your resume, doing something quantifiable is something that's really huge.
It's
to a company.
hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard. Like that's the biggest thing is like I know I'm valuable to a business, but how can I quantify what I'm going to do for that business? Like let's say if I have X amount of sales, I could go and say, "Oh, I could do X amount of sales for you," or whatever. But like how do you without that, how do you quantify your value? That's so hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. I think the best advice I can give is finding a. You're probably gonna hate this. Finding a volunteer opportunity and proving that you can do it. For example, one of the main things that impressed Coca-Cola was a prior volunteer opportunity that I had here in Birmingham for a lady who had started a cookie business.
Okay.
It was way out of character for me. I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. It was all pink, all girls, like cookie decorating class, but I saw opportunity within it, and I was able to grow their monthly revenue from, I think it was like $100 a month to $1,200 a month.
Wow.
So I was able to use that actual quantifiable data, put it on my resume, and said took this company from X amount of sales, increased it by X percentage amount of sales by the end of it. And they looked at that and their jaws were on the floor.
Right.
Like, how did you do this? What did you do?
Exactly.
I told them I leveraged XYZ. I connected them with this person, that person. That shows that I can do this. I have proven that I can do this. Give me a shot and I can do this at a scale at your company as well.
Right.
So it might not be the best answer, but that's
no,
that's all I have
that's
for
no,
you.
that was a
That's perfect.
really good answer.
If you go on LinkedIn, all the paid positions have 300 plus applicants. All the volunteer positions have like 20, 30.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people aren't really willing to take the time to show that they can do what they say they can do. And I think that's why companies kind of are seen as they're not hiring, they're not doing this, because a lot of times on the application, it's not really shown that the applicant is capable of doing it. But there's also a double side to that. There's plenty of people who are well qualified for jobs and still aren't getting these positions. The job market right now is just it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
No
So I started my own company.
Yeah, exactly right.
So that's
Same here, brother.
a perfect transition to talk a little bit about hiring and getting other people involved in your business. Are there other people working for you besides your co-packer?
Right now, no, because I'm trying to stay as
Low
lean
overhead,
as possible.
low overhead. Yep.
But
yep.
Once I start producing at scale over the next couple months, I'll have to hire some people to help me pack orders and things like that, because it's going to take time. I think my first hire will probably be someone to help me with social media, because like I said, that is what I excel at. My fiance is a CPA, or pretty much a CPA.
Wow, hey, that's some good. That's a good
Yeah,
connection
so-
right
yeah.
there.
Hopefully
For
I can
real.
persuade her to do a little bit of the
Keep you out of
accounting side
jail.
things, or, keep me out of prison for tax fraud. So maybe she'll help me with that. Take pity on me, but I think my first hire will probably be someone with social media to help me stay consistently engaged with my audience, to help grow the brand equity, with
Commenting,
people.
all this
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah, because you can't be on the phone all day long.
Exactly.
What are the key characteristics that you would look for in somebody to do that job?
I think someone who is consistent, honestly, someone who's willing to take pennies at the start, but see the vision in the company and how it can potentially grow and how I can take care of them down the line. Someone who really understands the vision of Moore's and the growth of it. And then someone who just understands, it's kind of you can't really explain, but like understands social media, like understands the trends and how they work and how they are able to navigate and different audiences on different platforms, because a TikTok audience is way different than a Facebook audience. Instagram audience is way different than a YouTube audience.
Right.
So being able to take one snippet of a video and cut it up in a way that maintains and appeals to an audience on a platform is something that's huge.
Contextualizing.
Exactly.
That's what we call it. I do
Yeah.
marketing for Sean's business, and that's one of the biggest things is like being able to take one piece of content and then contextualize that
For each
so that it can
different-
be right, exactly,
Exactly.
so that it can be plugged in to LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and it's the same piece of content but different because of that contextual contextualization. And just as you mentioned, the trends, that's the biggest thing, is you look at the trends, you understand what it looks like on each platform, and then you contextualize that one piece of content for each one. So I 100% understand that. So let's fast forward the time to say like 5 years from now. What do you think? What is your vision of Moore's Granola?
I think by that point we'll have expanded the product line a little bit. So obviously more flavors in the granola bar, but potentially another extension of a snack product. I see 20, 30 years from now this being a full snack company. So crackers, chips, all of that, while having low ingredient count, no preservatives, staying true to what I say today for the company. But I also want to have my hand in different opportunities for people who are less fortunate. So whether that's taking one bought granola bar and donating another one to someone in need, or just donating to different communities or people who just represent the same values that I represent in my company, just giving the product away to people who need it. Because there's a lot of things going around the world, and a lot of people are less fortunate than me and you guys here. So just being able to help them in any way we can, because the world is changing constantly day in and day out. So being there for people who need it is really important to me as well.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I love the vision.
Yeah, me too, man.
Everything you're doing right now is so cool. And we can already tell that you're going to do some serious.
Yeah, you are, man. I see success coming from you, man. For real.
Well, Titus, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for coming on.
For real, man.
Is there any last thoughts?
Yeah, anything you want to say? We'll plug all your stuff down below as well.
Of course.
5 years from now, we're gonna have another meeting, and we'll talk about how I did what I said I was gonna do and more. So excited about that conversation.
Heck
See where you guys are. We'll probably be like downtown New York City or something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
That.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much again, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace. Thanks.